You stupid bitch. Yeah, you're a stupid bitch. You stupid bitch.
Welcome to another episode of Stupid Bitches Say What, the Aussie podcast about everything and nothing, but always with wine. And your hosts, Sean Hipkins and Kylie Minogue.
This week's episode of Pop Culture, we are reminiscing about the nationally loved television show Neighbours, which is sadly coming to an end. We're going to talk about our favourite characters, storylines that shocked us, and many more memories. What are you drinking, Skye?
Oh, well, it's been a week. I'm very much looking forward to this glass of wine. It took me a while to get here. I'm drinking a Sauv Blanc. It's, surprise, surprise, a 2021.
Oh.
2021 brewed. It's a naked wine because I'm still making my way through the cask. I'm on the last bottles, to be fair.
Oh, nice. Yes, I've got to do a big order. I've got to do a big order as well. I've got a bit of money sitting in my Naked Wines account, ready to spend.
That was me when I brought this case. So it's called an RT with a really cute little bee on the cover. You can't see that with the light. It's called RT, and it's by Randall Tomich in the Adelaide Hills, and it's a Sauvignon Blanc 2021 single block. Don't know what the fuck single block means. So any of the wine connoisseurs who are listening,
let us know. Please.
Yes.
Very nice.
And what, pray tell, are you drinking, Sean Hipkins?
Well, Skye Lee Collett. I am drinking.
Don't fucking say my name like that. Collett. It's not hard. Collett, not Collett.
Collett. It's Pete's Pure. Have you seen him?
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen him
isn't
before.
It? Pete's Pure Merlot. It's from the Murray-Darling in Australia, of course. And it's also a 2021. I'm wondering when the 2022s will start making their way into our podcast.
It's certainly a growing theme, isn't it? It's something that we're struggling to break free of the old 2021 wine barrels.
Look, and I'm always never going to knock anyone for their tastes in wine, but I'm a fan of wine. You're a fan of wine. And I would like to think I've heard rumors. I would like to think that I'm happy to spend $15 on a 2021 bottle over $700 on a 2005 bottle.
Yes. Okay, yeah. I misunderstood what you're saying. I was thought you were prepared to pay $700 for a fancy bottle. I was like, fuck that. I don't have $700 to spend on a fancy bottle of wine.
3 years after letting my Naked Wine account build up, I'm going to get one bottle.
That's hilarious.
So how's your week been? It's been busy?
It has been busy. A lot of wedding prep, recovery after Saturday night's bridal. Saturday morning, actually.
I was going to say, brunch. Let's get the time of day started. Correct.
We met for breakfast at 9 a.m. I don't believe I got home until 6:30 p.m. After drinking all day and well into the evening. I have a massive scab on my right knee.
I saw the photos.
Not going to go into that story on the podcast. Let's just say I found myself on Sunday much, much worse for wear than I was at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning when I was dressed in my finery.
Oh, God. It took us days to get over. Like, literally days. Vinny and I, we, as you said, we started about 9 o'clock. I think we finished at about 2 a.m.
Yes, well, Saturday you did much better than me. That's a very special jaunt. That is. Well, goodness gracious.
After you'd left at 4:30, we had a little slapped the pokies for a little bit. Then got a kebab, some pizza, and came home and just drank beer and some bourbons and played Eurovision entries for this year from around the world.
Just really drove it home, didn't you? You just thought,
really went into it.
Far.
Let's fucking take it. Exactly. See, we're not used to going to bed before 9 o'clock on a Saturday, so it was just really weird and hard for us to sort of make sense of. So we just stayed up till 2. But it wasn't too bad the next day. Like I didn't have a massive headache or anything, but it was just fucking exhausted then for about 3 days afterwards. But it was worth it.
Yes, it was a very fun day. So that happened. So we've both been trying to recover. But something interesting that I did want to share is that I finished a fabulous book. It's an Australian book. It's called The Dark Lake by Sarah Bailey. And because I realised when we started this podcast, I was going to try and do a few more book reviews. I did one book review.
This is right.
In our pilot episode, The Undoing.
Comparison to the TV show. That's right.
Yeah, I haven't really done any books. So I'm not going to do The Dark Lake because I don't think it's enough for sensationalising sensational type of book enough to do it. But I am really going to think about that over the coming weeks and what I could do for maybe our next episode of Culture after that.
Maybe we could have a little segment in a What's the Haps episode of Sky's book review or something like that.
Maybe.
And we could do a little book review each month.
Yeah, that would be interesting, I think. But what about you? Other than recovering from my fabulous bridal brunch,
what else has happened?
What's happened this week, please?
Probably nothing too eventful as such. It has been a big week for. Was that the Thunder?
That's the Thunder at the back.
Jesus. But it has been a big fortnight for Maths and Survivor for me. So.
Are we going to talk about Maths tonight?
Okay, let's just shoot out the Survivor because I know you're not really watching that anymore, are you?
I meant to message you though because I did see that Sam went and I knew you'd be devastated.
I was devastated. But
what happened? Tell me what happened.
So after the shock vote out of Jordan the night before, due to some amazing play from KJ with her advantage that she found.
So Jordan went too. I didn't realise that. I knew that Sam had gone, but Jordan went too. Yep. So the Josh and Jordan couple was split up.
Yeah, and Josh was pissed, and the
only your cat.
No, that was my Chewbacca. I've got a message symbol.
Oh.
So the last couple remaining was Sam and Mark. So they had a huge target on them. They didn't take. I think he took the idols with him to tribal council, but Mark had won immunity, and they'd agreed that behind the scenes, Sam and Mark had agreed their goal was to just get one of them at the final 3 or the final 2. And with Mark having immunity that night, and then would have 2 hidden immunity idols that he had, that sort of guarantees him at least to the final 4, I think. So I think they saw it as a better thing to get Sam on the jury where she could probably speak to the other jurors about how much of a game Mark's played, try and influence Mark's game that way and sort of give him assurance to get to the end. But she went and I was devastated. I was hoping Mark would go and she would have to.
He was never going to give that up for her. Never, ever.
No, I agree.
Not a chance.
I agree. They always had a plan to make sure one of them was going to be at the end. And as long as that person was Mark, he was happy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was a bit of a shame. But Maths, gosh, there's been some shit go down.
Before you go any further, I just started the girls' night out, and I've just gotten in the episode at the very beginning where Olivia and Jackson are having their romantic date. So I haven't seen that episode, and I'm desperate to see it. I've been trying. I actually culled a few episodes, like I just skimmed fast forward through a few episodes, like because there was nothing in them. And then recap everything anyway. But I read this, and I meant to share it with you. I read this. Do you ever read anything by James Weir? No. He does recounts of TV shows, and I don't know what publication. I can't think of what the title. Remember the Sydney Telegraph? Anyway, so he does all these online articles recapping a lot of the shows. And
I may have read him before because I think he does a few of the shows.
Fucking hilarious.
Yes.
And he was writing the show about Celine, so I know a bit. And in the end, it was so funny I couldn't stop reading, but I ended up culling it and going, I can't finish this because he's giving me all the spoilers. I know exactly what's going to happen, and it sounds like the best episode ever.
It's pretty good.
And Celine just comes in, fucking just like boom, 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 just like stirring it up. I know that. And I'm just like, yes.
Yeah. Because it's quite funny with Celine actually when she's trying to get them to talk about shit.
was the absolute worst, but I loved her for being the absolute worst. Like she's a horrible, horrible, evil, nasty person. But I loved every bit of it. I was there for it. I was like eating it all up.
See, I was that way about Carolina as well, or Carolina or whatever.
Oh, see, no, I didn't like her at all.
I was.
Like her. She came up with a few funny quips. What about when she said to
Dominica
at the table, oh, yeah, really, I really want to be your friend.
No, that really upsets me.
Like a really great person to spend time with. Like I really want to hang out. And she said so seriously, and all of them just shut up and went, what? And then Sam goes, you're being sarcastic.
Yeah.
You are, aren't you, being sarcastic?
And Dominica's like, I don't know what she's doing. Yeah.
And then Sam just started pissing herself laughing, and Carolina kept a straight face the
whole
entire
time.
time.
Vinny and I rewound it and watched it again a couple of times because it's like, that is the best, and I'm totally using that.
And when she said,
oh, that really upsets me because you just seem like someone that'd be really fun to be around.
That I'd really want to hang out with. And then when she says, when they're having a fight at the Sunday night dinner or the whatever it is, the dinner party, and she says, everyone hold on to your glasses. Dominica's upset.
I know. I mean, she was terrible to Dion, but I loved the shit she gave. I love the shit she gave to
she was evil
Monica.
to Dion. So evil to him.
Yeah. I heard an interview between her and Daniel last night on Nova.
Oh, okay.
Fitzy and Whipper were interviewing her. Fitzy was being a bit of a dick with the way he was saying questions. Like, Carolina, you've got a 16-year-old son. Do you think this is good behaviour to be displaying on him? Do you think you're being a proper role model? It's like, fuck off, Fitzy. I'm sure you're the best role model out there.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
Fucking big brother, mate. Well, what about this week when they went to fucking Mitch and Ella and said that they had to go through each other's phones for 5 minutes. And I said, do you know what? I'm so against that. Whenever I hear of someone going through their partner's phone, I think it is the ultimate betrayal. And at the end of the day, you know, obviously partners should share things and you shouldn't, you know, be lying, but you have to trust your partner to go through their personal. Your phone is like the most personal thing that you have.
Of course. It's like a diary, but more.
Exactly. And like, I have nothing to hide if Tyler would, but if he asked me to go through my phone, I'll be like, how can you not trust me? Like, do you know what I mean? To reach that point where you have to go through each other's phones.
Yeah.
If they had said that to me on the show, I would have been, I'm out. I'm not interested. Don't care. He could have porn on there. He could have, you know, messages with his ex-girlfriend. I would rather not know, and I'd rather have trust in our relationship than find something that I shouldn't be seeing.
That's probably nothing really.
Exactly. And even if it was, you know, that's his behaviour. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll find that out anyway. Like, you can't breach a relationship by not having trust.
Totally. So you know that the challenge actually came from one of the other couples, not the experts, to go through the phone.
I knew that it came from Dominica for the thing where they had to spend time apart between Olivia and Jackson, but I didn't know that going through each other's phones. Who did that? Who suggested that?
I can't remember whoever they got, and that's why it was only that couple that had to do it. It was someone who said that it's obviously one of Ella's friends because they felt, I think it may have been bloody,
Tamara.
You know, who is that? She the long blonde haired one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was her and her partner.
Unless it was Sam.
I don't think it was Sam.
Sam and Al went at the commitment.
They've gone, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I am very much looking forward to watching the rest of the episode with the Night on the Town. I think it's hilarious. And I'm so excited that What's Her Face Super Crazy's back. Holly.
Oh, is she the fucking... Which one's Holly? Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I'm leaving. I'm going to
girl.
leave now, Harley. Yeah. Yes.
I'm so excited for that. But I didn't see him on the trailer, so I don't think he goes to the guys' night, does he?
No, he's done with it. When he walked, he was done because he realised that he actually was a gaslighting fuck.
And there was no way that he was shown in a positive light. What a piece of shit. Oh,
he was such a piece of shit. But yeah, what about the whole nude photo scandal? What did you think of that?
We were just talking about that because I was saying that how Link and Tyler are like total, you know, Team Dominica, and I'm too. Like, I think I think Olivia's being an absolute bitch and she's finally being called out for it. But I also think Dominica takes things too far.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, and so, you know, like Tamara, as much as I cannot stand Tamara, who's on the long blonde hair, she was right in saying it's a publicly, it's on her OnlyFans. Like they were all talking about how it's the equivalent of revenge porn and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's on fucking
like
Google.
Revenge porn is when someone has private photos of you and then they put them on the internet.
Yes.
When you break up and stuff like that, to actually, you know, and it's something that's been shared with you in privacy.
Yeah.
That's revenge porn. She already had that photo. So, yes, look, her intent was to cause a bit of scandal.
Totally.
But she's just a bitchy girl. And that's the thing I said to Link. If this is the level of resilience that Dominica has in her personal life, she's going to need some help in her future because just let it go, love. Just be like, oh, well, it's my new photo. Ha, 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 ha. You guys were like, good for you.
But then
Who cares? Fucking move on.
Exactly. She had to make it into this thing that you all knew about it and no one said anything to me. It's fuck off. But I agree. I'm the same. If I had a beef with someone and I Googled them and saw a fucking naked picture of them and especially if it was Dominica, because I couldn't imagine it being that great. I would be fucking going, here, look at this. Totally.
Yeah. Look, you know.
And so would every other motherfucker in that room.
I think so too. But you know, it's so funny because I have literally seen on Facebook so many people that I know. There's people out there saying that they want Olivia to be banned from becoming a teacher because there's people out there who do not want her to teach her children.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I just think, oh, look, that's going a little bit too far. She's a young idiot. She's done the Mean Girl thing. Like, you know, Mean Girls are horrible. We all know that. But she's going to get her comeuppance. Exactly. Like, it's
let
just
them who
grown completely out of proportion.
Okay, exactly. Let them who've had committed no sin cast the first stone.
Exactly.
You know, everyone's just fucking hypocrites, and internet trolls are the fucking worst.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
And even Jack, to a degree, like Jack's just totally defending her because he wants.
He has to because he knows if he doesn't, his balls are fucking out the window.
Yeah, but I'm also just like
and out.
I can like, and even like the experts were like just absolutely drilling her and saying, you know,
but they had no fucking. Oh, sorry.
The worst person in the world.
Yeah, my hands were throwing up in the air that whole fucking episode. And I was getting.
I know. Oh, well, I'm glad you think the same as me because
100%.
Link and Tyler were both like, but you know, she was totally doing it to cause malice. I'm like, yes, I know she was.
Domenica does the same fucking
all
thing.
Done the same thing. Like,
what do you think when Domenica was smashing a wine glass? Was that to cause a point or to cause fucking malice and to show fucking? And I really got pissed off that the judges didn't give her a stern talking to about smashing glasses and waving stems around in front of fucking people's face. But they felt the need because of that shit with fucking Olivia. So I'm on Olivia's side in the sense that I think she got a raw deal and Domenica deserved her comeuppance as well.
I think it's definitely the producers trying to find a way to make people bad, you know, good guy, bad guy. But even like, you know, what's happening with Mitch and Ella at the moment, and they're in the, you know, they were on the beach and she's asking all these like evasive questions she was asking. All she needs to do is come out and say, are we boyfriend and girlfriend? Are we leaving the show in a relationship? Am I changing my Facebook profile status in a relationship, or are we both leaving the show single? And she's asking all these weird things, and he's just like, what the fuck? And also, she's like, going, you know, what's our future going to be like in 6 months? And it's like, he can't tell you that. He's a man. There's no need for 12 weeks, love.
Yeah, like, but he's also
wanting him to say, "Oh, I'm madly in love with you. I can't live without you." And just some people aren't built that way. Do you know what I mean? Like she's expecting things from him. If he's not giving her what she needs, she has to walk. She can't be like,
yeah, I know, but like you got to think of the age as well. Like when we were 20, we'd be like, "Come on, look at me. Why aren't you getting me attention?" And she really likes him. But I think Mitch is being a bit of a dickhead. Actually, like
I totally agree that she's allowing that behavior. She's feeding into it. She's like letting him get away with it. And it's like, well, he's being more and more of a dick to you. And it's like, well, you're the victim here, but just walk away.
Yeah, it's hard though.
I mean?
It is hard though, you know, because she obviously really likes him. And she'd said that from the beginning. She was smitten by him and shit. And she's slightly changed who her personality was. Like a lot of her friends and family were saying, even the judges were saying, you know, she was more vibrant and shit. And it's all through fear of losing Mitch or doing the wrong thing. And you're right. Like if you're in a relationship where you can't be yourself and you don't have to think about what you're going to say next, you know, or you have to think about what you've got to say next, then it's not the right relationship.
She's not going to be happy. And she wants him to say to her, move to the Gold Coast with me. She's going to move to the Gold Coast, but he's not going to be able to make her happy because he's not going to give her what she needs from him. Like, it's obvious.
Do you think he's hot?
Love. Look, no, he's not my type.
Yeah, I'm the same.
It's I remember cute, at your Bucks night, he was very sweet and very lovely, and I really liked him then. But I really liked the other one too. So
yeah. They were both nice guys.
But I was really sad about the whole Al thing. Like, I really loved Al. He was probably one of my faves.
Yeah.
And I thought that Sam, whilst they really stitched her up by putting her with him, he really fucking tried, and she was a bitch in the end. And she was quite awful. And then that moment where he sat on the couch and turned around to her and said, when he actually stood up for himself for the very first time after all the shit she dealt with, and she just went, "Are you fucking serious?" And then she looked at the producer, like, the camera, she's like, "Is he serious?" And then she started crying and stormed off in a huff. And I was like, that is exactly how it's been going. They haven't been showing us that stuff. This poor Alzin sat there while she's being an absolute coward behind closed doors. But she's too beautiful for them to want to show that, because it's not. You know, like they want to just write it the way they've already got the crazies and the people fighting. They want to play a whole nother story out. And I just felt really sorry for him in the end.
Yeah.
And when she sat on the couch and said to him, when he said he wanted to stay and she wanted to leave, and she turned around and said, are you fucking kidding me? Why would you do this to me? And I felt like saying to her, don't put that on him. Just walk out, love.
Yeah.
Like, other people have walked out. If you don't want to stay, there's no one chaining you up in that hotel room saying to you that you have to stay there.
Yeah. I think there's obviously contractual arrangements and shit. And if they don't follow it, they don't, because they do get a weekly allowance, I've found.
I saw that it was $1,000, yes, because I've been researching it too, because I have to know.
Yeah.
And they apparently, with the whole thing with Holly and what's his face, they both got offered $3,000 each on top of what they were already getting to stay that extra final week when he came back.
Yeah.
So he came back for the money, obviously. So did she, but in the end, he was like, "Fucking stick your money up your ass and out." She obviously didn't, so she would have got her money.
Yeah.
But also, can we just quickly talk about Cody?
Oh God.
Fucking Selena. What a mess is he? Like, seriously.
Emotionally.
He's a massive stoner. Like, that's what I think it is. I think he smokes way too many cones. And
what about his fucking bedroom? Have we spoke about that? I think we may have done it in the last episode, or was that with a friend at work with the fan?
We might have on Saturday.
The fucking dirty fan, the fan.
The
picture with the watermelon
with a vagina, and
which is that guy put that up, didn't he? His roommate.
He made her dress in the costume to go bird watching,
and she is fucking stunning. And I can see, like you see, she is so invested in him. Like she has no problem in looking at his face. And then when they're arguing. I don't know.
What's he offering her? And it's that desperation that these girls get, and it's like, what do you see in him? He is nuts, mate, and he's just not into you, and you keep constantly trying to bring him back in.
I thought he was into it by the end. I would love to see them two actually be a success story.
Dude's just got to go home and lock himself in his apartment for like the next month, just smoke and joke. He's a swim instructor. He's a part-time swim instructor. That's what he does for a job at his age. I'm sorry. I don't want to be like Tamara.
You are very Tamara right now. You're just
tables.
A fucking waiter.
Yeah, but there would be absolutely no money in swim instructor part-time. Yeah. What else is he doing the rest of the time?
Well, he's not cleaning his fucking house, that's for sure.
I'm not judging him. You do you, but I'm saying that's a lot of spare time you got on your hands if you're a part-time swim instructor.
He should he should be he may be studying something, I don't know, but he should be very fucking hanging on to fucking student. Yeah, student. He should be gripping on to fucking Selena with everything he's got and not letting her go, because she would actually make his life a bit nicer. You know, he could move out of that fucking shithole.
He doesn't want to settle down, though. He doesn't want to. I don't even know why he's on the show. Obviously, build his grand.
But what about when he said at the thing when they had the fight? You know, when she got up and just stormed off after the last date.
Yeah.
I was like, go girl, good on you. And then when they showed her walking off, I'm like, don't fucking turn around, don't turn around.
Yeah.
And then he went up to her, and then they were stood in the rain. It was a proper movie moment. The rain's pouring. He's like, because I want this to work, and rah, rah, I want to see this happen, blah blah blah. And she's like, it's raining. And then they cuddled and walked off. I was like, oh, I would love it. I would love it if they worked out.
I said to Luke was watching it with me. I said, please don't treat girls like that.
No.
That's messed up, man. Please, I hope that you have much more sense and, social acumen to, like, not be like that with girls, because that's just horrid.
Do you know, like, when when they were first on the honeymoon, I think, and he was massaging her, and she was like, you can do this, and it's like, it's just weird. It's like my schlong's not talking to my brain. Like, before the whole, I'm like, dude, how do you...
That's why I'm saying...
What language is that to say to somebody?
And also, this is the whole watermelon picture and the Batman sheets and the state of the house. And even before that episode, I was like, this dude's a massive stoner. Like, he's a massive... So you can tell, like, he's just always, like, 5 seconds behind everything and has this bewildered look on his face, like, huh?
All right. So as we know, Neighbours, the long-running Australian soap opera, will film its final episodes in June after 37 years on television.
Holy shit,
I know, 37. So Neighbours...
I'm older than Neighbours!
So Neighbours was actually first broadcast on the 7 network on the 18th of March, Kooky, in 1985. It was commissioned by 7 from the success of their earliest soap, Sons and Daughters. Do you remember that? Sons and Daughters, happiness. You will find out our sons and daughters. So while Neighbours was pretty successful in Melbourne, it underperformed in the Sydney market, and it was therefore cancelled by 7 4 months after it began airing.
Get fucked.
I know, but then it was...
Oh my God, I love it when you do facts like this.
But then it was immediately commissioned by rival network Channel 10 for a second production season, which began screening in January 86. And it has since become the longest running drama series in Australian television history, with it being inducted into the Logie Hall of Fame in 2005. Thank you, Wikipedia.
What would we do with that Wikipedia?
What would we do? Well, we'd have a very unfactually correct podcast.
Talking about the Neighbours origins before we go into the full content that we're about to go into, are we going to go to Home and Away at a later stage?
If it gets cancelled, maybe.
Okay, because I was going to say, I just wanted to segue into, because I remember when Home and Away started. Do you remember when Home and Away started? And it was like the ads for it went for like weeks and months and everything, and to the point where you were just, the excitement of watching the debut of Home and Away was everything anyone could talk about. And it was the foster kids,
Sally,
Bobby.
I remember Sally, Pippa.
The Fletchers, Pippa. Was it Fletcher, and the dad?
Pippa was the mum, and then Pippa changed character.
The Fletchers, Sally Fletcher. It was
Yeah, but the foster kids, So when Home and Away came out, I was more of a devoted Neighbours fan at the time. But in saying that,
everyone was back in those days.
Yes, and in saying that, I don't think I've actually watched an episode of Neighbours in 25 years.
Yeah,
maybe.
Look, my sister was into it for a little bit for a while, and I watched the occasional one. And sometimes it just happens to come on the telly, and every time it does, I saw one recent episode not that long ago, and there was a lesbian couple. And one was pregnant and they were about to get married, but the one who wasn't pregnant didn't really love her or some shit like that. It was all drama. And there was a stalker involved and something else was happening. And 2 gay guys were involved in it as well. And I was just like, wow, the storylines really changed.
They've gotten a bit diverse, yeah. I do remember also watching an episode.
I was not interested at all.
I remember watching an episode about 20 years ago, and because Neighbours has spawned the acting career of many a folk. And there was one guy, and he was in this new fucking version of... I know, it's fucking steaming. It's because the storm's hit. There was this one guy who ended up
Australian summer people.
in Beauty and the Beast, but not the movie, like a TV series of it. I'm pretty sure it was that. Anyway, there was an episode of him, and it was like the first one when men were starting to come, when metrosexuality was becoming a big thing in the early noughties, I guess it was. And he was stood there in a pair of boxer briefs, and they were like rainbow colored or different colored and ironing. And he had a fit body, but it was like the first time that Neighbours had actually objectified the man, you know what I mean? Like properly.
Are you talking about the guy that ended up being in that Stomp movie and then was also in Coyote Ugly, the Aussie guy with the dark hair? And he was also in that Drew Barrymore movie where she's the mum, the single mum, and she's driving in cars with boys. Do you know that guy?
No, it's actually, I've got it here. So The Beauty and the Beast was a 2012 TV series.
Oh, I know the one who you're talking about.
His name's Jay Ryan. He's a New Zealand actor, best known for his role as Jack Scully in Neighbours.
Jack Scully. He was what's his face? He was
who were the Scullys?
That was Dr. Carl's.
Was it?
Dr. Carl's were the Scullys.
Was he Cully?
Dr. Carl. No, hang on. You have to Google it now.
I am.
I'm pretty sure the sister was the one who married Dan.
Carl Scully.
Dan
I know. Carl Scully's a former politician. So Kennedy, isn't it? Carl Kennedy?
It is. Sorry, you're right. So who was the Scullys then?
So the Scullys in Neighbours were Joe Scully and Lynn Scully. So Joe, wasn't Joe Mangle? Was this Mangle's kid?
Yeah, he was the Scully, Joe Mangle, and then the daughter was the one who went out with Craig Locken's character, was the blonde one.
Playing Jane Superbrain.
Yes, Jane Mangle.
Yes.
Love Jane Mangle.
Michelle Scully, Felicity Scully, Jack Scully, and Lynn Scully.
Felicity Scully was what's her face who went on to do the video in the UK.
Holly Valance.
Holly Valance.
Yeah. Kiss. Is that it? Kiss. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, Lynn Scully. If you'd seen the picture of Lynn, you'd know exactly who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
How do we get onto the Scullys?
You were talking about sexualizing men.
Yes. Good for you, Neighbours, bringing in diversity, showing us a bit of beefcake on primetime TV. Speaking about Neighbour success, how about fucking the UK taking it by storm?
Oh, I know. Well, look, I have some things that you're jumping ahead. Are we at this point? Are we talking about the UK infatuation? Have you done your fact stuff? Because
that was I just wanted to do a little intro. This is Neighbours. This is why it's ending now. So do you know why it's ending actually? So it's ending because they can't find
ratings.
No, well, they can't find another broadcaster to take it on. So 10 Peach, where it's airing now, have cut it, and they're like, yeah, I'm out.
Well, so I have a little stat here, and you've probably got the same one.
Yeah.
Well, I really need to talk about the wedding of a lifetime.
The wedding of the millennium.
So I can lead into the whole UK viewership stats.
Okay, fair enough.
You know where I'm going with this, don't you?
Oh, I do. Especially
where am I going?
For you. I want to show you all of that you're going through. Would have flowed to you to be where you are, no matter how far. Now that I'm next to you, no more dreaming about tomorrow.
I had that on a yellow cassette.
Oh, I was waiting for you to. Yes, because singles.
A single, a yellow, and I've written that down as well, a yellow single, because I was obsessed with. And we're so jumping ahead. I have a little bit more of a timeline for this to get to this point, but I had a picture on my wall, a poster, one of the big posters that I used to get from the TV Week. I mean, not the TV Week. What was it? Those magazines we used to get back.
Oh, yeah, TV Hits.
You know, the TV Hits it was. Yeah. The TV Hits, and we used to
and TV Songwords as well.
And you'd pull that poster out, and then you'd have to fold it in like 10 different pieces to make it.
And if you fucking ripped it where the fucking staple was.
Staples were, and had a big hole in your fucking poster. So you'd very carefully pull the staples out, pull it apart. Anyway, so I had a yay high Jason Donovan poster, and so my little single bed with my little, I had one of those doll blankets that had like the little tassels down the side that I absolutely hated that Mum brought for me. So I had this pretty girl room, and then there was this massive giant poster of Jason Donovan above my bed. And every night before I went to sleep, I used to stand on it where my pillow was, and I could reach his lips from where the poster was on my bed, and I used to kiss him goodnight every night.
Oh my God, that is awesome. I love that.
That is how much I was in love with Jason Donovan. I used to lay in my bed and think, all I really want when I get older and I become an adult is to marry Jason Donovan. And when he moved to the UK,
Yes.
I was so devastated. I was like, that's so far away. How am I ever going to meet him
there
and make him love me if he's in another country? That's too far.
Do you remember his single After, especially for you?
Yes, I had them all. But
yeah, Lee had them all too, but Lee also had them, not on his singles, but on the fucking mini records.
On the single records, I also had them on the single records. Yes, I
but
had
it was that too many broken hearts in this world. There's too many dreams broken into. Yeah, it was so shit.
There was another one that he did. I was obsessed with them all. I used to put them on my cassette recorder and I'd flip them over, because those singles, you used to get like the original song, a remix of the song, maybe one other shitty song that they'd made
off
in
the album
studio at the same time. And then the other side would be 3 remixes of the song in different versions. Like, remember that? And then so you just play it and play it until you knew every part of it off by heart and you lived and breathed that song. If you were able to, because like you have to save up your money, or you only got a single on a birthday, or you stole it off your parents.
And you got it. Yeah, my very first single was The Best by Tina Turner, and also Rome by B-52s, based on the strength of Love Shack.
Well, I don't recall my first singles, but I do recall my first album, and I got them for the same Christmas. My mum and dad got me the Roxette album, vinyl. And my auntie got me the Smash Hits, the version that had the Alice Cooper Poison song on it. It also had, remember Poison, your poison, running through my veins, your poison. I don't want to break these chains. It also had a Roxette song, and I think it had a John Farnham song. There's a few.
Yeah, the Roxette song would have definitely been from that age, would have been The Look,
Smash Hits albums,
or Dressed for Success.
And I think it was Dressed for Success, actually. And so when I started my record collection, 5 or 6 years ago when I started collecting records, I specifically used to go to old record shops just to find the compilations. And I have so many compilation albums now, because when I was growing up, my mum used to always buy the Smash Hits versions because they had all those old songs.
Yeah.
Like, next time, I've got to buy a new record player, actually, because mine broke before I moved up here. But when I do, we have to have a night where you go through all my old records, because you will die at some of the songs that are on there. You will just be like, oh my God, because I remember I go through some of them, like, I forgot this song exists. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot about this song. Like,
shit like Yaz and the Plastic Population.
Red Red Wine by UB40, remember that one?
UB40, UB45 now.
UB45, yeah. Southern Sons, I remember I was obsessed with Southern Sons. The guy who was married to Rebecca Gibney.
Yeah. That? He had the mullet and everything, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he didn't have the mullet. He had the long, like, Bon Jovi hair.
Yeah, that's right. Like what was the song?
He had a few. It was a really slow song, and they said he was the next John Farnham. Oh, I'm so sweaty. That
would have fucked him over as soon as he said that. Southern Sons. We need to get back on task as well.
God,
Heart in Danger. Hold me in your
arms.
Yeah. All right, back on track. So we've had the Donovan, but you wanted to talk about the UK. So we're going to talk about the wedding first.
We have to talk about the wedding. Okay.
The wedding of the millennium.
The wedding of the millennium, please. So Kylie and Jason, aka Scott and Charlene, who moved to Queensland. They moved to Queensland. Remember this?
Yes. That's where they all went, just like from the Bodies in the Barrels. They all went up to Queensland.
I know. So they got hitched in 1987, right? To 2 million Aussie fans tuned into that.
Wow.
So think of our population size
Back
in
then.
1987. That was massive. Every fucker was watching that wedding on TV. And I remember it. I remember watching it with my parents. I remember her walking down the aisle.
Down the aisle.
The beaded crown thing that she wore.
Didn't she have a fucking train like Princess Diana as well?
Yes, she did, with the ruffles at the edges, totes 80s style.
Yeah.
And it was huge. It was a huge big deal. But then the next year, it debuted in the UK to 19.6 million viewers the next year.
Off.
Can you believe that? So I think it had only come out a couple of years before that they'd started watching it. But do you remember? Okay, so when I lived in the UK, right? Remember the omnibuses? Did you ever get into any of the other shows over there?
Not really. EastEnders and Coronation Street.
I used to watch Corrie. That's enough. So Brookside was another one. I loved Brookside, and I loved Hollyoaks. And you used to get the omnibus, remember? So if you missed all the episodes during the week, on Saturday and Sunday, all that was on telly.
They'd just play them.
Do you not remember that? The omnibuses?
I didn't really watch them when I was over there.
So, but Neighbours and Home and Away were the same. So they were in the same category because everyone was obsessed with them. So you get to Saturday or Sunday, and when you were super hungover and you didn't free to air TV, you just whack it on and you'd sit there and watch a Neighbours omnibus. Or and they'd be like, they usually play the week before's episode and the week of episodes. There'd be like 10 episodes in a row. And you just sit there and watch all. And sometimes you're like, oh, fuck, I watched this the other night.
Watch your stories.
Go and make some lunch or something while the sun's on because I saw it. But then you wait for the other ones and you watch them. And that's how obsessed they were with Neighbours. And I used to watch, I didn't watch it that much. But when I started to get homesick and was getting ready to come home, when the Neighbours song would come on, which was pretty much every single night, I burst into tears. Because I miss my mum. I'm ready to go. My mum doesn't really like Neighbours.
What year were you there again?
I was there. I was back by 2001, and I was back by the middle of 2001. I was there for nearly just over a year.
Okay.
And I went at the beginning of 2000. So yeah, anyway, yeah, it was funny time. But I want to talk about omnibuses because I wondered if you knew about them.
No, I didn't know about the omnibuses, but I did know how massive. And I remember at the time when Neighbours launched and when it launched in the UK, the news stories coming through in Australia about how obsessed the UK public were with fucking watching Neighbours. And I think, and I could be wrong, that they used to play it during the daytime as well at lunch, and people were going home from work to watch Neighbours.
Totally. And actually, sorry, I wasn't there in 2000. I was back by 2000. I went there in 98, 99.
Okay.
99, I was back by 2000. And
did you do the Millennial New Year over there?
No, hang on. I'm getting confused again. No, I was definitely back for 2000. I did the Millennial over here.
Oh yeah, you were, because fucking we were nearly talking about
Bouillon.
Australian Idol the year after, or 2 years
Anyway,
after.
so when I went over there, but I remember when we went into one of the pubs when we first got there, and everyone was obsessed with the fact that we were Australian. Because we were in a small town up north. We weren't in London like you were.
Yeah.
And James he has a bit of an English accent here, but he has an Australian accent compared to English people. And we were over there, and whenever we used to walk into the clubs, because everyone knew about us, they'd be like, Scott and Charlene have walked in, Scott and Charlene have walked in. That'd be the DJ. We'd be like, and they'd play the Neighbours song. And Jamie and I were like, found out that my name was Skye. And that was the time that Skye Mangle was around.
Oh,
Remember Skye Mangle? And they were like, oh my God, are you named after Skye Mangle? I was like, no, I'm older than Skye fucking Mangle.
And Skye Mangle has just come out on TV, bitches.
If anything, she's fucking named after me. But they were obsessed. They were completely obsessed because everyone thought that our lives were just like Neighbours. But the other thing I was going to mention was Delta, and she started her career as much as I cannot stand Delta.
Oh, yes, she did.
She started her career, and I was obsessed with her first album, and she did Born to Try, which is her first single, because she started singing on the show. Remember, she was singing, and she started to get a career on the show. That was part of her storyline.
Yes. And she sang, that's how she released Born to Try, wasn't it? It was through Neighbours.
Through Neighbours. Yeah,
and it was a huge song.
It It was and the whole album, I was obsessed with that album. I brought the album, loved it. I think you brought the album too, didn't you?
I don't think I bought it. I think I downloaded a few of them off LimeWire or fucking Napster or something.
Well, I had the album and I was obsessed, but I can't stand her now. But
Delta gets a hard run of it, bless her.
She's a drama queen. I don't like drama. I mean, I love drama, but I don't like drama queens.
We just came from maths. That was one of my points to talk about. Good one. I'm glad you had that too.
Well, look, I'm going to go. I've got a whole bunch of other points, so it's your turn now. I brought up a few. Go on.
All right, well,
what do you want to talk about?
Well, I'll talk back into when Neighbours first started, and as a kid, I remember getting right into it, and my family were all into it, and the coolest fucking kids on the planet were Scott, Charlene, and Mike, who was Guy Pearce. Was it Mike?
I think it was Mike, yeah. And then what about when
and then Craig McLaughlin came into it as Charlene's older brother, little runaway terror. What was his name?
Yes.
Henry,
and then he fell in love with Jane Mangle. Jane Mangle and him ended up together.
Playing Jane the super brain.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he follow Charlene to Queensland? Didn't he go to Queensland?
Yeah, I think so, because he ended up going on to the Royal Flying Doctors TV show.
And then they all ended up doing matinees. Remember? That's why they went to the UK to do matinees. They did matinees in the UK, and then it must have been some kind of theatre. I just remember that always reading that they'd gone to do the summer session of matinees.
Because Jason Donovan was the lead in Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat and shit over there.
Yes. So then they'd go over to the UK and try to make it big, and they did. Everyone loved them over there. You know, look at
it was huge.
Fucking Kylie Minogue.
Yeah, well.
Do the locomotion
with me. You gotta swing your hips now.
Come on, baby.
And when she did fucking that Rick Astley song. What was the Rick Astley song? She did, because I think she was going out with him at the time, and then if you slowed down the record player to the speed thing on the little disc, it sounded like Rick Astley. It was
not recall that at all.
Yes, yeah. Kylie Minogue.
I remember when she went out with Michael Hutchins, and I remember how devastated she was when he died, even though he had dated a few other people after her, because he went out with that supermodel too before he went out with Paula Yates. Remember that?
Oh yeah. What was her name?
We went out with Paula Yates and Michael
I
Hutchins.
Should Be So Lucky. I Should Be So Lucky.
Yeah.
And Rick Astley did it as well. Yeah. I should be so lucky. And they used to say that she just used his version sped up. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But you remember where Kylie came from? Which TV show she came from? I think it was series 2 of the Henderson Kids. Do you remember the Henderson Kids?
And also, wasn't Nicole Kidman on the Henderson? No, she was BMX Bandits.
BMX Bandits, yeah. The Henderson Kids was fucking that was a drama for children that was just engrossed. Like I was infatuated with it. Where the parents died.
Heartbreak High? Come on, Heartbreak High.
I think I was beyond it for Heartbreak High. I think I didn't really give a shit.
Drazik with the eyebrow ring. He brought eyebrow rings in.
But yeah, I remembered they were just the be all and end all of who you wanted to be. I think I remember when Mike got his license and all that shit. It was full that stuff. And of course then fucking up because Charlene turned up in Neighbours robbing the house, didn't she?
Yes.
Did she break into the house? And then Madge caught her.
Yes. And see, I loved her, but then when her and Jason got together, as much as I was on board with their whole relationship, I had a massive jealousy thing for her because my obsession for Jason Donovan, I literally thought
was that high.
He was the love of my life, and that in some future state we would be together.
Yeah, look.
And we would also have that marriage. You know, when you really, I was very young. It was my first real crush. It was the first crush that I really had where I was just I love him. And Mum used to be like, yeah, you'll be right, love. I'm like, no, Mum.
You don't understand,
I love him. And she was like,
okay.
You're 7, love. You'll be okay.
Oh, good. But yeah, no, but all the and of course it's when you're younger, you become a bit more attached to characters and shit like that because it's the first time you've seen a storyline like this. You know, it's the first time you're seeing people falling in love and getting married, even though you've seen parents are married, you didn't see their journey and stuff. So
And
you
when they
become
went to
so
Queensland,
invested. It's
I was just
devastating.
like, "Are you
Well,
fucking?" And I remember, do you
we were
remember
like up here going, "Where are they? Can we find them?"
and do you remember when sometimes they'd get a letter from
Mm.
Queensland or something, they'd get off the phone? Oh, I was just talking to Charlene on the phone and it's gone. And I'd be like, well, what did they say?
Exactly. What are they doing?
What's
Are they
in
together? Is she pregnant?
Hey.
Fuck you, Madge. Tell us more.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And then mum would be like, they're not like in Queensland. The characters have left the show. And I'm like,
and you're like,
oh.
shut up, mum, you idiot. You don't watch Neighbours.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, all those characters from back then too, which you fell in love with this kid. There was fucking Des and Daphne. Do you remember Des? Was it Des Bishop?
I actually wrote down Des, and it was Clark, please.
Des
Daphne Clark. Des and Daphne Clark. She died. Remember?
She did die. I loved Daphne,
Yes,
and I was devastated
Daphne.
when she died. Did she die in a car crash?
I thought it was a sickness. I think she died of some sort of sickness. But remember when you messaged me when Survivor first started, and you said to me, Skye, who the fuck does Chrissy look like? I've met Chrissy before, and I said, I feel the same way. And then I had this inkling one moment. I was like, oh my God, she's Daphne Clark. Remember I sent you those Daphne Clark pictures? And I said she looks exactly like Daphne Clark. She does.
She did. And Daphne, she died in a car crash, which she had a car
She
crash,
did.
which leaves her in a coma. And Des stays by her side and is holding her hand when she briefly wakes up to tell him that she loves him, then has a cardiac arrest and dies.
And did they have a baby?
So the one with the baby is Kelly. No, was Carrie Bishop.
Bishop.
Carrie Bishop is Skye Mangle's mum. So Carrie Bishop was with Joe Mangle, and Joe Mangle asked Carrie Bishop at a bus stop, "Oh, Carrie, do you want to get hitched?" Because he was very ochre and fucking bogan, and everyone thought it was hilarious. That's how he asked her to get married. If you want to get hitched, and I'm like, what's get hitched mean? And then I remember brother saying, get married. But then she went out into the fields to stop some duck shooting or something like that. And she's pregnant with Skye, and she gets shot, but the baby survives because she was a vegetarian. She was a real animal activist. Yeah, she was a huge animal activist.
Oh my God, you're so right. And now I'm just remembering another storyline. Todd.
And Harold's her grandfather.
Died.
Who's Todd?
Oh, Todd Landers. Okay. So remember Todd Landers, and what happened was I'm just gonna quickly Google it. So he was the one, and he died.
I remember Todd.
So it was Todd and Phoebe, and then Phoebe falls pregnant, and then they go and they have an accident. And then he wakes up from the coma and he's okay. And then he has he has like a brain aneurysm from like the accident. And then he died. But, and that was really tragic. And I just can't read. I'm a bit drunk now. I can't actually read what happened.
Yeah, I do remember him when I've seen him. And
here we go, Todd's accident. Paramedics arrive. Todd is taken to hospital. Jim receives a phone call from the police, and he and Paul rush to Erinsborough Hospital. Jim uses Paul's car phone to call the clinic to contact Dorothy and Phoebe about Todd's accident, and they race there. Todd later wakes up in hospital after a successful splenectomy. He appears to have recovered and talks to Phoebe about the future and tells her she is beautiful when he suddenly goes into cardiac arrest due to a ruptured artery. The doctors miss. Despite efforts to resuscitate him, Todd dies as Jim, Phoebe, and Dorothy look on. The day after his death, Todd appears as a spirit in Phoebe's mirror, telling her he will always be there for her and the baby.
In the mirror. Classic 90s.
Who he says will be a girl. Phoebe later gives birth to their daughter, Hope.
And she called her Hope because she needs some hope.
She needs some hope because the love of her life died. What a storyline! What a story!
So they were some of my favorite characters. I loved Carrie Bishop. She died. I loved Daphne Clark. She died. I loved Guy
Oh,
Pearce,
right.
who went up to Queensland. I think before Scott and Charlene. But then Scott and Charlene fucked off as well.
Yes, I think. Oh, yeah, I remember Kerry Bishop. You're right. I'm sorry that I forgot about it.
With Joe, yeah.
Yeah, and Rochelle and Daniels. Remember, look at how old Jane Harris looks now.
And do you remember Madge Bishop? How much of a fucking... She just seemed like a fish-faced mole throughout the show.
Yes,
but then she married Harold. And Harold was a vegetarian.
Missing.
Well, Harold was a veggie. And then I remember one thing where he was eating a dish that someone put some bacon into. And they were like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you there was bacon in that dish. And he loses his shit. And Madge is like, oh, come on, Harold, get over it. And he's like, well, the problem is, Madge, I quite enjoyed it. He enjoyed the bacon.
Do you remember when he had that accident and he fell into sea and he got swept away?
Yeah,
and
he was on the rocks.
Dead. And then he came back 10 years later and 5 years later and he had amnesia.
Yes, but Madge had already moved up to Queensland. It was Scott and Charlene by that stage.
She came back though.
Did she come back?
Yeah, she came back. Because Madge was in it for ages after, because then she died on the show, I think. I don't know if she's alive now. I think she might be dead in real life, actually.
All right, so we've gone through some of the characters that we loved from the time that we watched it anyway. What's some of the iconic storylines that you remember or you have down?
Do you recall Bouncer's dream?
I recall Bouncer.
A whole episode that was dedicated to Bouncer having a dream sequence.
A whole episode?
Yeah, I think it was actually maybe a couple of episodes.
So what did they do? They just ran out of, they had the coronavirus or something?
I think there was a whole thing where people became obsessed with Bouncer. He was like the dog everyone wanted to aspire to have a dog like him. And he was a major character. Like, he lasted for a really long time. Obviously, he was played by a number of dogs.
I was going to say, I don't think that was the OG Bouncer.
I know, right? Because he was there for the 80s and 90s, but there was one episode where he had a dream, and I should have actually written down all the bits about what he said, because I thought maybe you had, because when you put in the pre-post about Bouncer, I was like, oh my God, he's totally going to go into Bouncer's dream sequence. But there is an episode, Google it if you want more information.
So you know what the dream was about?
Look.
He found something, which involved him getting married to Rosie, the border collie that lived next door.
There you go, something about another dog, etc. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Oh God!
Remember when Carl cheated?
Yes.
With the young girl.
Was it Bev? With not the young girl, with fucking Izzy. Thank you. The Road Traders singer. Baby, baby.
It wasn't Izzy.
Yes.
It was another chick.
What's his name? Carl Kennedy,
the
right?
brunette one.
Carl Kennedy affair. It's Izzy. Oh, hang on, Sarah Beaumont.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Izzy. It was the brown hair one.
He
worked for him.
Oh yeah. Carl was married to Sarah's friend Susan, and when she found out about the affair, yes, okay, you're right. So this is Sarah.
I think Izzy tried to trap him afterwards because remember Izzy was crazy.
Yes, but I think he gets with her though.
I think maybe they'd split up though, him and Susan, when he did I think maybe she did get pregnant to him actually, but that wasn't the whole affair. So they were happily married, and she worked for him. I think she was his receptionist.
Yes, you did right. Yeah. That was devastating when God, I forgot what was her name again? The wife?
Susan Kennedy.
Susan, and she fucking ripped him a new one too. And again, that was sort of one of those storylines where you become invested in because you've never been involved in or seen that stuff.
It was very controversial at the time because Neighbours was very squeaky clean. Lots of deaths. A lot of people died tragically.
Yeah.
But they certainly didn't cross the lines of moral
affairs and stuff.
A lot. So when that happened, it was huge. It was like everyone hated Carl.
Yes. He was number one enemy. Everyone was on board with it.
Remember the daughter, what was the daughter's name? She married Dan, and then Dan died in a motorcycle accident.
Of course. They always die right after a very nice event.
No, was it Steph?
Carl. And what was it? Carl and Susan? Kennedy's
and then the daughter was, they had the older boy, they had the middle girl, then they had the younger boy.
Oh, they had Billy, Jesse Spencer, who's another one that's gone on to do
course.
fucking.
That's who it was, Billy, yeah. But then the middle sister was, what was her name?
Libby.
Steph. Libby married Dan. Libby and Dan.
Do you remember that episode or the arc for Libby when she thought she was adopted because she couldn't find any baby pictures of herself? And then they were like, "You're not adopted. You just love the camera so much. We had to dedicate a whole album to you." And then I pull out this album of just her, and she was never in all the family pictures, just as one of all her. It's like, yeah, good one, Neighbours.
Yeah, it was squeaky clean, wasn't it? And Jim went on to do major things. Like he's in so many movies. Yeah,
yeah, he was in Ugly Betty. He was in Lost.
No, Jim's a character. His real name is something Dale. Alan Dale.
Alan Dale. He was in Ugly Betty. He was in Lost, and yeah, a few.
And massive movies. Like he's in some of the fucking Star Wars, I think, or the event. Like he always pops up, and you're like, shit.
That's him. He's starred in Neighbours. And he's always looked the same too. He was always old in Neighbours, and it's just
exactly the same. Yeah, Jim Daniels, because he was Helen's son.
Helen Daniels. Oh my fucking god! But what about Mrs. Mangle too? Wasn't that Mrs. Mangle? Well, she was an old lady. She was a battle axe.
And Mrs. Mangle and Helen didn't get along, remember? And Helen was like the one everyone loved. They went to Helen for advice because she was so reasonable and was so motherly, but she was quite old. And then Mrs. Mangle was a psycho, and everyone hated Mrs. Mangle. And then Helen and Mrs. Mangle didn't. Helen wanted to be her friend, but Mrs. Mangle was a bitch to her.
Yes.
And they had a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, I've just had a look at her. I've just found her on Google, and I remember her exactly. She looks like someone from Prisoner. Like
Mrs. Mangle?
No, Helen Daniels. She looks beat up. And she was probably only 50 at the time. It was
is she still alive?
Oh, I don't think so. If she is, then good for her.
She's pretty old.
Yeah. What about Toadie? Toadfish.
It's still on it to this day.
Look, no offense, Toadie, but yeah, I'd be surprised if he'd get an acting gig anywhere else. So I'm pretty sure he's fucking holding on to that with that fucking mullet. That looked like, ramen noodles, when hair gets like that, where it's just fucking.
Totally. I once posted a meme of and it's like 6 or 8 different pictures of Toadie through different stages through his career, and he's still with Neighbours and stuff, and it's like, which Toadie are you today?
Are you Toadie?
There's like party Toadie, there's like sad Toadie, there's like
mullet Toadie,
really young Toadie, mullet Toadie, there's like married Toadie.
Well, do you want to know a fun story about Toadie during Neighbours? And it's one that I don't remember.
The one where he drove Dee off the cliff.
When Toadie accidentally drove himself and Dee into the sea on their way to their honeymoon.
On their wedding day, yeah.
And she went missing and presumed dead, but she turned up 15 years later.
Sure, because she went over to the UK to do a matinee and to, further her career, made
obviously
fuck all of it, came back to the show. What about Rebecca Omologaloo, who's like, super
Rebecca Omologaloo? Who the fuck?
Packed on the way. Oh no, she on home and away.
Who's Rebecca Omologaloo?
Google her.
Is that seriously her name?
Omologaloo. It's like a big long name.
Omologaloo.
It starts with an E.
I'm getting Rebecca O'Malley. It starts with an E.
Home and away, Rebecca E, and then search it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know who you mean now. Yeah. She was like,
and she was like
the
hit star. She was in all the video hits magazines, the Dolly magazines, all the shit back in the day. Look at her now. Check her out.
Okay, Rebecca Omologaloo now.
Omologaloo. Emma Lockaloo.
Oh, she's a decent sized woman. That's what Vinny calls me, a decent-sized woman.
You're cuddly. It's what I need to cuddle.
Exactly.
It's like Tyler.
I'm fun friendly.
It's very snuggly.
Who's this? Yeah, Rebecca met Emma Lockaloo. Yeah, I remember her now. Yeah.
Yeah. Is she not in Neighbours now, though? Does she not switch over? I feel like she is in Neighbours at the moment.
Neighbours star teases another big story for another big story.
She started in Home and Away. Back in the day, that was her debut. She was in Home and Away, and she was a massive star, and then she got killed off or whatever happened to her. Probably moved to Queensland.
She looks like she was off East Street as well or something.
You know what? She may have been. I fucking loved East Street.
East Street was great.
A great show. And they acted, didn't they, after like 3 seasons?
No, this is not the quickest costume change in history. We've had to come back after a power outage and internet failure. So before we sign off, we do just have a couple more batshit stories that we wanted to get through. Well, just pay homage to. Do you remember when Toadie's little brother Stingray or his cousin or whatever came to Neighbours?
I remember Stingray, the name Stingray and the character very vaguely, but I don't recall the storylines now.
Well, poor Toadie has lost another family member as Stingray tragically died at a street party. But would you believe he died shortly after doing a bone marrow transplant for his girlfriend? Did he die because of that? Who knows?
Tragedy strikes once again in Ramsay Street.
No. What's wrong from you?
Well, the only one that I didn't get to talk about was good old Lou Carpenter.
Lou, yes.
Lou, yeah.
He was like everyone's dad.
Yeah, a little chubby man, and he owned a pub, remember? Carpenter. Was
yes.
The Watering Hole?
The Watering Hole, yeah, I think that was it.
Was it maybe that?
Yeah. Because what was Lassiter's?
Lassiter's was the hotel, like Lassiter's Hotel, but it was a complex, I think. It was like a complex, and then Lou's pub was part of that complex, like the pub of the hotel. I think something like that, at least.
Right.
But Lou was on it for yonks as well, but I didn't actually write down how long he was in it. But
and how he died.
He stayed long after Madge left. And I don't think him and Madge ever hooked up. I think they were just bosom buddies.
They were a bit of a flirtatious there, yeah.
Yeah, I think they were just mates.
Did him and Harold always have a bit of a beef?
I think they did, yeah.
That sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah. But I think he was there, one of the longest oldies that stuck around. And Paul Robinson's back in the more recent ones.
Yes, he did come back.
He came back from the dead or something.
Yeah. Well, because he was gone for ages, and then there was this was another one of my batshit storylines, when Paul Robertson during the mid-2000s organised a charter flight.
Yes.
At Joy Flight to Tasmania in honour of the hotel's 20th birthday, Lassiter's, with many Ramsay Street residents on board. However, as per usual, disaster was quite close. Disaster is afoot, is what they say. Tragedy as afoot, as a mystery assailant had planted a bomb on board the plane.
Oh, is this where Skye's mother died?
Yeah, well, it went off mid-flight. No, Skye's mother was Kerry.
Oh, yeah,
it went off mid-flight.
One of the kids died, though, wasn't it? It was
yes.
The mum and dad and the kid died.
It was. You've got a very good memory. It was Harold Bishop's family members with his son David, daughter-in-law Liliana, and granddaughter Serena, all missing at sea with their bodies never recovered.
And so Paul Robinson was on that flight, right?
He was on it. And then Harold then attempted to kill Paul Robertson by strangling him because he blamed him for his family's death. But it was actually Paul's evil son, Robert, who was responsible for the bomb, as he had been seeking revenge on his father for abandoning him as a child.
I also believe that Paul Robinson lost a leg in that accident, because when he returned from the dead, he was missing a leg. He was one-legged, if you will.
See, so has he got one leg just in the show? Have they Lieutenant Danned him for the rest of the show?
Well, maybe one of their storylines is that he grew it back.
He grew it back, yeah. There was a witch that came and fucking...
But yeah, I believe if you check Wikipedia, there's a storyline about him losing his leg.
Oh God, I can't wait to see how that turns out. Did you know Rob Mills was in there as well for a while?
Was it Neighbours?
Yeah.
Yeah. And remember Blair?
Yes, from Big Brother.
Big Brother, and he was on for yonks and yonks and yonks. And remember, he couldn't really act at all. But that's just on there because he was a pretty face.
And he was extremely popular.
Yeah, everyone loved him, didn't they?
Yeah.
What happened to him? Is he dead?
No, well, actually, I don't know. I don't think they killed him off in the show because he came from the country, didn't he? He was a country boy in the show.
Oh, I can't recall, to be fair.
And just one more quick one. I do remember this. So this was again early 2000s when Susan Kennedy had a developed amnesia after after a kitchen accident where she slipped on some milk.
Yeah, she hit her head, didn't she?
Yeah, and then she came around believing it was 1972 and the night before her 16th birthday. So you can imagine.
I don't remember her going back in time, but I do remember her having amnesia and hitting her head.
Yeah, that's what she thought she was back in 72. Hey guys, groovy. Thanks for coming to my party.
We should have done a list of all the people who ended up making it, like technically.
Who survived?
We just went through all. No, who made it big? I mean, because the Neighbours, like if that was it, but we should just rattle them off all in a row. And was like, this person's on Neighbours, and this person's on Neighbours.
Natalie Imbruglia.
Oh, Natalie Imbruglia.
She was in it. She was great.
Is she really that famous these days? Really?
She was. I mean,
mean,
she's
everyone
always.
knows who she is.
She's a big icon here. They would not know who she is. They know a song, Torn.
Delta, certainly. Everyone knows who Delta is.
Delta Goodrum, indeed.
Kylie. Everyone knows who Kylie is.
Kylie, Jason Donovan, Guy Pearce.
What's the other one? The really pretty blonde one that Margaret Robbie. Oh no, she was Home and Away.
She was Home and Away. Melissa Stouts. She's East Street as well, wasn't she, Melissa? Couts.
I think she may have started.
Hands off my detonator. Do to me what your eyes say you wanna do. Do it. Read my lips.
Do it. Read my lips.
Yeah. Oh, well, that has been a fun run down memory lane.
Trip down memory lane.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Stupid Bitches Say What. Farewell, thee neighbours. I look forward to hearing about a shambles of a spin-off with more delectable batshit crazy storylines. Tune in next week as we go back in time to the 80s and discuss the cartoon faves that kept our eyes glued to that big old box of a TV screen every Saturday morning.
Don't forget, if you like what you hear, tell your mates and leave a review on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to our Stupid Bitch glory. Bye, Stupid Bitches.
Bye. Neighbours. Everybody needs good neighbours.
With a little understanding, you can find the perfect blend.
Neighbours should be there for one another.
That's when good neighbours become good friends.
Boom, boom, boom. And soon. Yeah, that stupid bitch. He's a stupid bitch. What a stupid bitch. That stupid bitch.